asked you to come today and talk with me because, well, you've been a longtime supporter of the sanctuary work and doing your own, you've been on your own healing journey, and you were the first person to sign up for Holy Darkness. You get the prize. I'm asking everyone about that. So yeah, I thought we could just start by hearing, like, how would you describe who you are? Like, who are you? Where are you? Maybe a little bit about like your ecology of relationships and the land where you are, and tell us who you are.
Yeah, well, so Kate's sister, Clare, and I was kind of thinking about this when you texted me, because my immediate inclination is to say I'm a stay-at-home mom and I have 3 kids, but also I've been doing a lot of thinking most recently because we just moved from Woodinville down to Alki in West Seattle, which, is the home area of the Duwamish. And so really thinking about that and the land that we were able to purchase, which, kind of comes with some feelings. And for me, though, I have this, like, since we moved here, I have a really strong sense that I've moved home, and just how bolstering that is to kind of my mental health, and just knowing that I have the support of family, which I know a lot of people don't. So my kids go to school, which I'm so thankful for. And in kind of that in-between time when I'm not doing chores, I like to garden and be out in nature. And I've really found a lot of peace there. I'm sure I'm the first one to sign up, because if I look at something and don't make a decision, then it's lost forever, like in the cosmos. So I was like, oh, here's an opportunity. And you and I have talked about how in this past season, having struggled with depression and some anxiety, and then working through COVID, I can have a lot of anxiety around committing to things, but I felt like if I signed up for this but wasn't able to make it, I wouldn't have that kind of crushing need to serve both, to show up when I couldn't, or vice versa. So I think that was one of the things initially where I was like, oh, we're leading up to Christmas. And as a recovering Catholic, it is hard to find kind of a ritual around Christmas time or solstice that is not super churchy.
Yeah.
That's not really, Christian based or focused on the birth of Jesus. So I think that it makes it more special to have those rituals, to slow down, to take the time to think about it. And especially as the nights get longer, you do have this kind of expanse of darkness to fill in ways.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a lot more of our time spent in the dark.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you have used this term before. I know we've talked about it in various capacities, but being a recovering Catholic. And I don't know. Is there anything more you want to say about that? I kind of described us both as being, raised Catholic, unchurched, but spiritual.
Yeah, I really am more identifying now with like earth-based religion, just that if we consider ourselves part of the earth and, our spirit is part of that, then I feel like it communes us with, Mother Nature and our fellow humans and animals and whatnot. But actually, I was just talking to our dad about this and how growing up Catholic and the way that we did, it makes you feel like any other religion is not real.
Yeah.
And so to show up and go to a different church feels oddly like just watered down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But also going back to Catholic Church, I mean, even just starting with the pronouns and the gendered talk of God and the formality of like basically honoring man instead of people is really, really hard. And I have, 2 daughters, and or maybe 3. We're very fluid at this stage, and I don't want their thinking to be so narrow and so guided, kind of how things have been in the past.
Yeah. So when I was pretty explicit calling this like an Advent series.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about the title of this little interview is Why Advent? So why Advent?
Yeah.
And you started to touch on it a little bit. Like, we come into this season and it is already, there's so much, I guess for me, like there's still a lot to this season, and it's taken some time to kind of comb out, like
organize.
Like what actually feels good and nourishing, wanting to honor the uniqueness of this time.
Mm-hmm.
For me, still, like I still love some of the like traditions and songs and
same
the symbols. So like I'm calling it an Advent journey. So an Advent, I actually didn't look this up, but like the tradition around it is like it's kind of marking the journey of Mary and Joseph to Bethlehem and the Israelites through the desert to the promised land. Like it's kind of this journey time, this waiting time. And anyway, so any thoughts about why Advent in particular, or like what that word means, or what that?
Yeah. I mean, Advent, I think I've always thought of as the waiting or the longing for when the birth is going to happen, or, and I think,
can I just say, it's super feminine, right? Like,
no, it is so.
You literally know what that feels like.
Right. I mean, I was pregnant with Ty when my third one, I remember going to Christmas Eve Mass and just being like, this is bullshit. Like, God is a woman. Sorry. I don't know if I can say that.
I'll figure it.
But just, understanding what that's like in such physical and kind of emotional terms. And, my birthday is on the winter solstice. Yeah. And so I've always found that time, I guess I just have a lot of curiosity around it. And I listened to this other podcast, and they talk about kind of the history of these different like pagan holidays that overlap with Christian holidays. And I guess what
turn the lights are down, we light the wreath, we sing the Jesse Tree song, come there, whatever that one is, and
Emmanuel.
Yeah, and there is something like, maybe this is also being Catholic, the way that we were, like, we do summer retreats, summer family camp, and yeah, just like we did have kind of a counter cultural way of being in this season, and that does still stick with me, like it was hard in some ways, but there was part of it that was like, okay, I don't want to just consume from Thanksgiving to New Year's, like,
right.
There's something richer here. And like with your garden reference, and I think about this for you personally too, like that there are seasons in life where we can't produce, we can't be the outward, like, care provider or whatever that we've always been used to doing. And I think it's helped me to, and what I hope to like kind of nurture in this space is like the value of the darkness for rest, for being fallow, like for not having to perform or produce or be the the thing that we're kind of always on to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a richness there, and it's really not built into our culture. And I think the reciprocal of that is everyone uses the term, it takes a village, and I think that is true. And I think what we've lost is that the recognition, or when someone is in need, and just allowing the space for that it's okay, right? It's okay however you are in the world. And as your friend, I'm still going to show up the same way I do because that's good for me. And, just allow the other person to be where they are. And I think, you and I have talked about that and have created that honest space to be able to share about it. But it can be really challenging.
Yeah. Like, are you saying the space of allowing like hard experiences to exist and not needing to fix it, or
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I just have one other thought about what you were saying about our childhood versus, just the experience of others. And, with 3 children, I've really struggled with how to approach it from kind of this background of, I don't even know how you would describe it, but like you said, every day we would have ritual and intention and prayers and, the song that we sang all season and the candles that we lit. And so how do you kind of immerse that with like a more traditional, just what kids get at school, like Santa and
like
candy,
so it's not so dissonant or like feel like so separate or something, or
it feels kind of polar opposite. And I think too that we try to talk to our kids about the consumption thing because we just are not a renewable. It's not sustainable, and it just feels so wasteful. So, I mean, I think some of that balancing is like our first world challenge that we really have to do because we do have the availability to go off and Santa photos and
and I don't want I don't want to say that's bad, like you're saying.
No, it's not. It's kind of finding the things, picking the things that work for our family. But I guess for me, it's not committing to either one of those ideas. It's like we have taken seasonal Santa photos, and it's so fun to put those out at Christmas and see the different times, and it's a good memory. And we also sing traditional Christmas carols or whatnot. But
so like the blend of things that's just right for y'all.
Right.
I love that. Anything else that you're experiencing particularly in this version of fall, winter? Anything else you're noticing in this particular season?
Yeah, I mean, I am feeling a lot of healing. So I have a lot more energy. I had been suffering with a lot of pain and fatigue in the previous 5 years. And so I am feeling supported, and I feel like I can make decisions and I have space to kind of be able to be thoughtful about things.
That's awesome. I'm glad. It seems like moving there.
Yeah, it feels good. If I feel a lot lighter, and I can enjoy time with people, and
so maybe have the energy to commit to some commitment of 5 weeks.
Right, exactly.
And is there anything else you would want to say to someone who was considering joining Holy Darkness, or really any of the work that you've done with me? anything else you would want to say, or encouragement, or
Yeah. Well, I think often it can be uncomfortable to try something new, and I think you would be surprised probably what you got out of it. And that you have done a great job of creating very safe spaces, thoughtful spaces, and you've helped me through some really challenging times, finding resource in my body when I didn't think I had anything else to give, and in some ways just helping to light my path through navigating depression and the world, as we sort of took apart our very Catholic roots, just trying to navigate and untangle. I think you had said that. So I think you really provide kind of this, I want to say nest, like this nest to kind of like live in for a while and then hatch. And
I like that.
Yeah. And I think also that you are connected to some really thoughtful individuals. And so bringing those people together and just knowing that, this circle of, when we lived in Woodinville for 3 years, it felt purposeless. It felt like, why are we here? And some of that was COVID really made things very hard, and in some ways very clear that it wasn't the right place for us. And kind of the joy of coming out of that and coming home to, I just noticed a really big shift. That's going to be helpful this season for me.
Your penguins.
It is. Oh, right. Yeah.
For context, we have a bunch of family in West Seattle. Yeah. So it is the huddle.
They're all coming around. Yeah.
I just noticed we do have a viewer. So if you're watching this and there's anything that's resonating for you, or any questions you have, or words of that you're taking away, feel free to drop that in the chat. Feel free to just say hello and where you are. So thanks for joining. Yeah, great. So Claire, thanks so much for this time. And I'm so glad you're joining Holy Darkness. And if for nothing else, to just spend a little more time with my sister over the season.
Right. For that. I look forward to that. I also, when I was telling Ryan, my husband, about it, I just said, I signed up for this, and I'm hoping to take some of it back to my children, especially my oldest daughter, who's very sensate and particular. And I think she will really kind of lean into any of the kind of themes or meditations that happened during that time. So
yeah,
I think that'll be.
I love that. Yeah, for a seed planting for like resources for families during this time. If nothing else, we'll do a song each week, and I'm sure the songs, your kids are so musical.
Yeah, just send me the piano chords and we'll just.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, good.
Awesome. Well,
so great to see you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you, and love you.
Love you too.
See you soon.
Absolutely.
And thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.